Welcome to The Deep Dive. We're the podcast where we plunge into the stories shaping our world, and we try to pull out the insights you really need to be truly well-informed. Today, we're talking about something really personal for most of us, our cars. I mean, think about it. For so many people, a car isn't just a machine, right? It's freedom, a symbol of independence, maybe, a trusted sanctuary for families even. And this deep connection is built on a kind of implicit promise from the manufacturer. A promise of safety, reliability, and, integrity. You trust them.
You absolutely do. It's a fundamental trust.
But sadly, that trust has been catastrophically betrayed. Not just once, but repeatedly. Throughout automotive history, really. And we're not talking about simple product failures here, not just mistakes.
No, not at all. These are different.
We're talking about systemic deceptions, calculated risks, and sort of deep-seated ethical compromises. Compromises that have cost lives and shattered global reputations. So today, we're taking you on a deep dive into 6 of the most, consequential scandals in automotive history.
Yeah.
Our mission here is to really extract the most important nuggets of knowledge. We want to help you understand not just what happened, but crucially, why it matters and what lessons we can maybe take forward from all this.
And that's so critical because, while the specifics of these betrayals differ wildly, you've got deceptive software in one case, halty fuel tanks in another. What's truly fascinating and frankly disturbing is that they share this common troubling DNA. It's this prioritization again and again of profit and market share over human life, over environmental stewardship too. It's a pattern, a really dangerous corporate mindset.
Yeah, a pattern. And we're going to explore that persistent pattern today. We'll journey through cases ranging from outright emissions fraud to design flaws that literally killed people, from corporate paralysis, just inaction, to these huge global supply chain disasters. Yeah, massive failures.
And each of these events didn't just make headlines for a week or two. They forced seismic shifts in law and regulation. They forever changed how cars are made and sold. And that impacts every single driver on the road, including you.
Absolutely. The ripple effects are enormous.
Okay, so before we jump into the intricate narratives of each case, let's just maybe take a moment just to grasp the sheer scale of what we're about to discuss. It's huge. Across these 6 scandals alone, we're looking at hundreds of deaths. Hundreds. Millions of vehicles recalled globally. Millions and billions with a B. Billions of dollars in fines and settlement.
Yeah, the numbers are staggering.
These are not minor hiccups in product development. They're just catastrophes.
Indeed. And if you connect this to the bigger picture, you see, these events aren't just isolated incidents. They're profound indicators. They show deep-seated failures. Failures in corporate culture, in engineering ethics, even in the very systems designed to protect us, the public. They really vividly illustrate the immense human cost and the financial cost, too, of cutting corners. Okay, so let's kick things off. Scandal number 1, Volkswagen Dieselgate. This one really felt like a punch to the gut, didn't it? Especially for anyone who believed in clean technology.
Oh, absolutely. A betrayal of that green promise.
The story really starts with VW's huge ambition, their Strategy 2018. Launched back in 2008, the goal was simple: become the world's largest, most profitable automaker. Period.
World domination, basically.
Pretty much. And a key pillar of this global conquest, especially in the tough US market, was their promotion of clean diesel. Remember that?
Oh yeah, clean diesel, the magic bullet.
Right. It promised everything: great performance, amazing fuel economy, and environmental compliance. It seemed almost too good to be true.
And it was.
Exactly. And the truly disturbing part is how they achieved it, or seemed to. The defeat device, as it became known. It wasn't some crude mechanical workaround. It was sophisticated software, hidden right inside the vehicle's engine control unit.
Deep in the code.
Deep in the code. And this software was programmed to detect when it was being tested in a lab. It looked for specific parameters like the steering wheel position being still, barometric pressure, engine speed, how long the test ran, really specific stuff.
Clever in a nefarious way.
When it recognized a lab test, boom, full emissions controls activated, everything looked great. But the second the car was out on the open road driving normally, it would subtly switch to a different mode, a road calibration, which basically deactivated those controls to boost performance and fuel economy.
And the result.
The result. These cars passed the lab test with flying colors. But in the real world, they were spewing up to 40 times the legal limit of nitrogen oxides. NOx. 40 times.
Just pumping poison into the air.
And get this, their own supplier, Bosch, who made a lot of these control devices, they apparently warned Volkswagen against using them illegally as early as 2007.
Wow. So they knew the risks internally, or at least were warned, it really raises a crucial ethical question, doesn't it? What happens when that kind of corporate ambition just completely overrides ethical considerations?
Leads to catastrophe.
Exactly. And the impact of Dieselgate, it goes way beyond VW's finances, though those were huge. The excess NOx emissions, they had a direct, measurable public health toll. One study estimated 59 premature deaths just in the U.S. Others projected over 200,000 premature deaths across Europe over the lifetime of those vehicles.
Just staggering numbers, hard to even comprehend.
It really is. And financially, the cost to Volkswagen has topped $30 billion, fines, settlements, buybacks. But maybe its most enduring legacy is regulatory. It blew the lid off the flaws in lab testing.
Right, the tests weren't reflecting reality.
Not even close. So in response, European regulators brought in the WLTP. That's the Worldwide Harmonized Light-Duty Vehicles Test Procedure. Much more rigorous. And crucially, it includes on-road testing, real-world driving.
A huge change.
Massive. And internally, VW was forced to confront its culture, what was described as cutthroat, confident, and insular. They had to undertake this massive overhaul, try to move away from that rigid top-down structure that allowed this to happen.
Okay, shifting gears now. Let's talk about another infamous case. One that's almost legendary for its chilling calculation. The Ford Pinto.
Ah, the Pinto. Yeah, everyone knows that name.
This infamous compact car, it was rushed to market. Just 25 months from concept to showroom. That was under Leakaka's directive. They needed something fast to compete with the imports.
Speed was a priority.
Speed to market, yeah. But from the get-go, it had this fatal design flaw. The fuel tank was mounted at the very back, behind the rear axle, which meant in a rear-end collision, it was dangerously exposed, prone to rupture and fire.
A catastrophic fire hazard built right in.
But here's the truly disturbing part, the part that makes your stomach turn. Ford knew. They knew about this flaw even before the car went into production.
They crash tested it. They saw the result.
Exactly. Their own engineers found the vulnerability. And there was an inexpensive fix. About $11 per vehicle. Just $11.
$11 to prevent horrific deaths.
And they rejected it. Why? Because the company performed this notorious internal cost-benefit analysis, the infamous Pinto Memo.
The memo.
And this memo, it literally assigned a dollar value to human life, $200,000 per death back then. And it concluded, black and white, that it's cheaper to pay out for burn deaths and injuries. They estimated that cost at around $49.5 million. Cheaper to do that than to spend $121 million to install that $11 safety part on all the affected cars.
It's just cold. So incredibly cold.
It's this cold, calculated decision. It wasn't just unethical. It revealed this dangerous corporate psychology, where human lives are just reduced to line items on a spreadsheet.
Yeah, disguised under this sort of veneer of objective cost analysis. That's the chilling part. Using math to justify something profoundly immoral.
And when that memo was exposed, particularly by a Big Mother Jones expose.
Oh, the public outrage was immense, understandably.
Absolutely. And the landmark punitive damages awarded in the Grimshaw v. Ford Motor Co. case.
That changed everything. It fundamentally reshaped product liability law. Jurors basically said, no, you can't do this. You can't knowingly market dangerous products and just budget for the deaths. It sent a clear message that such calculations wouldn't stand. It had consequences, real financial consequences beyond the initial calculation.
Okay, scandal number 3 takes us to General Motors, GM. Here, a seemingly simple defect festered for years, revealing a culture of inaction. The GM ignition switch.
Another small part, huge consequences story.
Deceptively simple, yeah, but catastrophic. It was in cars like the Chevy Cobalt, Saturn Ion. The problem was a low-torque ignition switch. Basically, it didn't take much force to turn the key.
Too easy to knock out of position.
Right, so a jolt, maybe from a heavy keychain bouncing or the driver's knee hitting it or even just a bump in the road, could switch the key from run back to accessory or even off while driving.
And the effect?
Instantaneous. And catastrophic. The engine cuts out immediately. Power steering, gone. Power brakes, gone.
Yeah.
And crucially, the airbags, disabled just when you need them most in a crash.
Just terrifying. Complete loss of control and safety.
What's truly astounding, though, is the timeline. How long this went on. This wasn't a mistake they found and fixed quickly. It was a decade-long failure to act.
A decade. Wow.
GM knew about the potential problem way back in 2001, before the cars even went into production. They considered a fix back in 2005. It would have cost less than $1 per car.
Less than $1.
Rejected. And then, in a move that it feels like concealment, They introduced a redesigned better switch in 2006, but they didn't change the part number.
No change. Why would they do that?
It effectively created a silent remedy. It made it nearly impossible for investigators or even dealership mechanics to track the defect. How do you recall the faulty part if the new good part has the exact same number?
It just muddies the waters completely, obscures the history. This whole tragic saga within GM, it perfectly illustrates a concept called the normalization of deviance.
Normalization of deviance, what's that?
It's where standards slowly erode over time. A known problem, a deviation from safety norms becomes accepted. It just becomes the way things are done. Nobody sounds the alarm anymore because it's normal.
Wow.
The company's own internal investigation later talked about the GM nod. Everyone in a meeting would sort of nod, agree a problem existed, but nobody took personal responsibility to fix it.
Passing the buck.
Exactly, just passing the buck until it led to this staggering human toll. Ultimately, 124 deaths, 274 injuries, directly linked to that faulty switch.
Horrific.
The response, eventually, under CEO Mary Barra, involved huge internal safety reforms. They brought in things like the Speak Up for Safety program, trying to break that culture of silence and inaction.
Trying to prevent it from ever happening again.
That was the goal, yes. A painful lesson learned.
Okay, next up, we dive into what became the largest recall ever in automotive history. The Takata airbag catastrophe.
Takata. Yeah, that one affected almost every car brand, didn't it?
Pretty much everyone. The root cause here was Takata's decision, largely driven by cost, to use ammonium nitrate as the propellant, the chemical that inflates the airbag.
Which is volatile stuff, right? Used an explosive.
Extremely volatile. And crucially, they used it without a chemical drying agent. That was the key mistake. Because ammonium nitrate degrades over time, especially with prolonged exposure to heat and humidity.
Like in cars sitting in hot, humid climates.
Exactly. And when it degrades, it becomes unstable. It burns too rapidly when the airbag deploys. The result, a violent explosion. It ruptures the metal inflator canister, spraying metal shrapnel directly into the passenger cabin, like a grenade going off in your face.
Turning a life-saving device into a weapon.
Precisely. A ticking time bomb in millions of dashboards. And the tragedy was just compounded by a prolonged cover-up.
They knew.
Takata was aware of ruptures, incidents where these things exploded, as early as 2004. But they allegedly falsified test data, covered it up, lied to automakers, and they continued to sell millions of these dangerous inflators for years.
Unbelievable, falsifying safety data.
And some of their older inflators, the so-called alpha inflators, terrifyingly, they had something like a 50% chance of rupturing if deployed. 50%.
A coin toss, whether your airbag saves you or kills you, that's insane.
It's almost unimaginable.
This catastrophe, I think, it profoundly illustrates the systemic risk in our modern global supply chains.
How so?
Well, the insight here is how a single bad decision, a cost-cutting move by one supplier, can embed catastrophic danger across dozens of different car brands all around the world.
Right, because everyone was buying from Takata.
Exactly. A failure of oversight, a failure of ethics, at one critical point can hold the safety of millions hostage. Ultimately, over 100 million inflators were recalled globally. It drove Takata into bankruptcy. They faced a $1 billion criminal penalty. And even today, you still see do not drive warnings for unrepaired cars.
Still ongoing.
Years later. It really showed how interconnected and vulnerable this system is.
Okay, our fifth case. This one involves a brand that for decades was practically synonymous with quality, Toyota.
Ah, yes, Toyota. The unintended acceleration crisis, that really shook their reputation.
It really did. In the late 2000s, Toyota, revered for reliability, suddenly faced these terrifying reports, sudden unintended acceleration or SUA, people reporting their cars just taking off on their own, and this chilling fear of a ghost in the machine, like the car was possessed.
It tapped into a deep fear about loss of control.
Absolutely. And the crisis just exploded into public consciousness with that tragic, high-profile Lexus crash in 2009. Remember the 911 call captured from inside the runaway car?
Oh yeah, that was horrifying. Made it incredibly real for everyone.
It really ignited widespread panic. So what was actually causing it? Well, the investigation found multiple confirmed causes. One was floor mat entrapment. The accelerator pedal getting stuck under a loose or improperly installed floor mat.
Something Toyota actually knew about for years, right?
Apparently since at least 2007, yes. They'd issued warnings, but maybe not forcefully enough. The other confirmed cause was a mechanical flaw in some accelerator pedals, making them sticky.
So physical issues, but wasn't there talk of electronics?
There was a lot of talk, Persistent theories about electronic glitches. Things like tin whiskers, these tiny conductive filaments that can grow on circuit boards and cause shorts. NHTSA, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, and even NASA did expensive investigations. And officially, they couldn't find evidence of an electronic cause linked to the SUA incidents they studied.
But the public perception lingered, didn't it? The fear of electronics.
Oh, definitely. It fueled this profound sense of unease, that maybe the cars were fundamentally untrustworthy at their electronic core.
And this raises a really critical question, I think. What happens when a brand with a pristine reputation built over decades, what happens when that halo is suddenly tarnished?
Yeah, the fallout seemed worse because it was Toyota.
Exactly. Toyota's response initially was seen as fumbling, defensive, slow, and that was perceived as a profound betrayal precisely because their brand promise of quality and reliability was so incredibly strong.
The tarnished halo effect.
That's it. It wasn't just a PR crisis. It was a brutal lesson in how fragile trust is. It led to a massive $1.2 billion criminal penalty for misleading the public. And significantly, it spurred the widespread adoption of brake override systems across the entire industry.
Right, where the brake pedal signal automatically overrides the accelerator signal.
Yeah, a direct safety feature implemented industry-wide because of this crisis. It proved that the stronger the brand promise, the more devastating the fallout when that promise is broken.
Okay, finally, our sixth scandal. We arrive at what some call the perfect storm back in the late 1990s, the Ford and Firestone divorce.
Ah, the Explorer and Firestone tires, another huge one.
Huge. It involved two absolute giants, iconic American companies. And it's centered on this lethal combination. You had the Ford Explorer, incredibly popular SUV, but it was known, even internally at Ford, to have a high propensity to roll over, partly due to its high center of gravity.
Inherent design characteristic.
Right. Combine that with Firestone tires, specifically certain models that were prone to tread separation, the tread just peeling off the tire.
Especially at high speeds and hot weather.
Exactly. And then, compounding everything tragically, was Ford's own recommendation for tire pressure. They recommended a low 26 psi for the Explorer's tires, primarily for a smoother ride.
But that low pressure increases heat buildup in the tire, doesn't it?
Precisely. It significantly accelerated the degradation of those Firestone tires, making tread separation more likely, a deadly combination.
The perfect storm indeed.
And the truly frustrating part of this tragedy, again, the delay. How long it took to address it. Warnings were emerging from overseas places like Saudi Arabia, Venezuela, as early as the mid-1990s. Reports of tread separations, fatal Explorer rollovers in hot climates. Ford and Firestone were replacing tires overseas.
But not in the U.S.
Not initially, not on a large scale. Decisive action here was delayed until a Houston TV station, KHOU, did an expose in 2000. That sparked widespread consumer complaints, media attention, congressional hearings.
And then came the finger pointing.
Oh, big time. What followed was this bitter, very public divorce between Ford and Firestone. Each company essentially blamed the other for the deaths and injuries. It culminated in Ford unilaterally deciding to recall another 13 million Firestone tires beyond Firestone's own initial recall at Ford's own immense expense.
A complete breakdown of a century-long relationship.
Right in the public eye, the blame game was intense.
But what's fascinating here, beyond the corporate drama, is the profound legislative legacy.
What came out of it?
Well, this deadly combination, linked to, I think, 271 deaths in the U.S. alone, it directly led Congress to pass the TREAD Act.
FRED.
Yeah, stands for Transportation Recall Enhancement, Accountability, and Documentation Act. Passed in late 2000, this was landmark legislation. It fundamentally rewired auto safety regulation in the U.S.
How so?
It created a mandatory early warning reporting system. Manufacturers now have to report potential safety defect data to NHTSA much earlier, things like warranty claims, lawsuits, incidents overseas, data they might have previously kept quiet about.
The regulators get alerted sooner.
Exactly. And it also mandated tire pressure monitoring systems, TPMS, in all new vehicles sold in the U.S.
The little light on your dashboard.
That's the one. It warns drivers if their tires are significantly underinflated, directly addressing part of the Firestone problem. So it was a major structural reform born directly out of this immense tragedy.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground, 6 major scandals. As we bring our deep dive to a close, what are the common threads we can pull from these stories? They seem different, but are they?
There are definitely common threads. We've seen that relentless pursuit of market share, right? Like with VW.
Yeah, getting bigger faster.
The lure of short-term financial goals over long-term safety. The Pinto Memo is the starkest example.
Absolutely.
We saw toxic corporate cultures, places that punish dissent, hide problems, like the GM nod.
Where silence is valued over safety.
Precisely. And we also see regulatory systems that often seem slow to react. Often it takes a major crisis, sadly, to force their hand.
Reactive, not proactive enough.
Often, yes.
Yeah.
And if you connect this to the bigger picture, you see this persistent cycle. Crisis happens. Then comes public outrage. That forces regulatory change. Then there's a period of compliance, maybe. But then new pressures build, new technologies, new competitive landscapes. They create fresh incentives to cut corners, maybe find new loopholes.
And the cycle potentially begins anew.
It feels like it sometimes. I mean, look at recalls today. There's still a constant. You mentioned Takata is ongoing, and just recently, Ford has led in the number of distinct recall campaigns, while Tesla has led in the sheer number of vehicles affected by recalls. So we're still grappling with the fallout from the past, even as new challenges emerge.
That is a sobering thought. So, okay, what does this all mean for you, the listener? As a driver, a consumer, a human, really, looking ahead. We're in this profound transformation now. Electric vehicles, autonomous vehicles. Does this just open up entirely new frontiers for deception, for potential harm?
That's the billion-dollar question, isn't it? And yes, absolutely. We're facing completely new categories of risk. Think about EV battery safety fires, degradation, manipulated range estimates. That's a big one already.
Promising more miles than you actually get.
Exactly. Deep ethical concerns around sourcing the raw materials for those batteries, too. Cobalt, lithium. But I think the greatest challenge, the area most ripe for future issues, is software.
Software. Because cars are basically computers on wheels now.
Totally. Software controls virtually everything. Steering, braking, acceleration, safety systems. And a flaw, or deliberate manipulation, in millions of lines of code. That's infinitely harder for regulators to detect, and frankly, for the public to even understand, than a faulty fuel tank or a bad ignition switch.
Much less visible.
Much less visible, potentially making deception easier to perpetrate and conceal. Plus, think about the vast amounts of data these connected cars are collecting. That opens up huge doors for privacy violations, data security misconduct, things we haven't even fully grappled with yet.
So the potential for scandal evolves with the technology.
It absolutely does. It's a whole new game with potentially even higher stakes.
Well, our deep dive today has certainly revealed that the relationship between us, the driver, and our vehicles, it's complex. It's built on this foundation of trust that, as we've seen, has been catastrophically broken at times. These stories, they aren't just history lessons, are they? They feel like vital warnings for how we navigate the future, how we hold these incredibly powerful corporations accountable.
I think that's exactly right. And maybe the central question, the provocative thought to leave with, is whether the auto industry has truly, deeply internalized the painful lessons of its past scandals. Or are we simply destined to witness new, perhaps more sophisticated, more hidden versions of the same old betrayals on the road ahead?
A powerful question indeed. Something for all of us to consider. We hope this deep dive has given you a clearer understanding of the immense stakes involved in automotive integrity, and maybe helps you think about what you expect, what you demand from the companies building the vehicles of tomorrow. Thank you for joining us on the deep dive.